not, for any reason, ever share your private keys, passphrases, passwords, or click suspicious links. Everyone all the time is trying to steal your stuff, so go slow and be careful. There's no point making all this money just to give it to a thief.
They just keep coming. I have to speed up like my pace of my button clicking. More buttons, more buttons, more buttons, more buttons.
Push.
I know. I'm crushing it. I wish you could just click downward. like with the down arrow.
Dude, I think out of all these comments, even somebody said hi to me at one point, which is strange.
Nope.
I'd look. Yeah. Okay. Good.
No.
Good
I have
point.
There's a stray cat down the street. They said hi to the stray cat, Brandon.
Did you put that filter on there? Is that filter saying it blocks? You know how you put a filter on YouTube comments or anything comments that blocks out any words? It blocks out Brandon. That's weird.
Oh, that's actually an interesting question. Dang it. Damn you, Brenda. You jinxed our opening little comment thing. we will. Okay. So
who is Brandon? Get out of here, David. David. Oh, the other David's good. Hi, Brandon. I love you. Mary, thank you. Oh my gosh, so nice.
That's the real David. Okay,
that's the real one.
On Brenda's question, that's actually a good question. Here, let's switch over to this for a second.
I get asked this a lot, Nick, by the way. So everybody's I probably
Cryptopia is not the only look. Cryptopia. Okay. Cryptopia is a launch pad. They were one of the early investors in Hypercycle. That's not the official way to participate in tilling, in compute, in running a node, buying a node. That's not, that is a side project. That is not, Cryptopia is not Hypercycle. Now, they're really cool. Richie and all those guys over there are really cool, and they're great, but they're not, that's not Hypercycle. Be very careful that you don't go down the path of, because they do different things, NFTs and all sorts of other stuff. So that's not Hypercycle. Just understand that. If you're going, in my opinion, if you're going to participate in tilling, so just real quick, when you are participating in the Hypercycle ecosystem, which when they launched, they said, listen, it's going to be 18 months before we're up and running and rocking and rolling. Now, I think they're going to beat that by quite a bit, but we're 3 months and a few days in. So I would just be very careful that you're not running and chasing. And I want to do it now. But give it a few months, right? I mean, what they're doing at Cryptopia is a beta test. And for any of you who have done any kind of software stuff, you guys get it that a beta test is just that. It's a test. We're going to test some stuff out as we refine the software and get it ready for a public release. It is not yet ready for public release, and we are not 18 months into Hypercycle. It's not a fully flourished ecosystem and all that. So I would tell everyone, wait a little while. Don't rush into buying nodes and things like that. We are attempting to grab some node licenses for not just the private clients, but also for digital investor. But we are waiting on Hypercycle to tell us when everything is ready to go. So we're not going to rush it. I mean, we have a lot of tokens that we would love to have those tokens making money for us, but that's not ready yet. So don't anybody feel like you need to rush in and do so. There, that's my kind of Brandon. What would you say about that?
I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on. This is
Ew.
important. No, the only thing that I have to say is, just like Nick said, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to get these licenses. And as far as I know, it's going to be the same price now as it's going to be later to get these licenses. A lot of people are messaging me wanting like walkthroughs on how to do the whole thing. We can't even do like the whole thing yet. And so what I'm telling people is we're going to wait till we get like a valid setup, and then we will walk through the whole thing. Don't get ahead of yourselves in crypto. This is one of those things where you rush into it. And like with Cryptopia, a lot of people I saw were buying their NFT. Nick, you mentioned that. A lot of people were buying their NFT, which is essentially an alpha pass that gets you access to certain things. It's not necessary to buy that alpha pass to be able to get a node license. So there's
that's a Cryptopia specific thing.
Yeah. So we can get a license without getting that NFT, which the NFT is like $600 to $1,000 over the counter on OpenSea, or they have like an over the counter thing over there. Don't buy that NFT unless you really want it. You can do whatever you want, but you don't need it to get a node.
And this is a good question. So what David's asking, as far as I understand, is will the 39% that's being paid in the unbonded staking pools at Singularity DAO, will that disappear when beta starts? So that is a marketing kind of an enticement product where the people at Singularity DAO, the people at Hypercycle are working together to entice people to buy the token and park the token. Great. And they're paying 39, 40%. It depends how many people participate. Likely, as more people enter the ecosystem, buy tokens, and they park more tokens in that pool, those percentages will come down. Now, when beta starts, beta is, again, it's a testing phase. That's not when you're going to really see those numbers come down dramatically, because beta is, again, it's an experimental phase. You need to keep that in mind. Now, when they say, hey, everything's ready, software's ready, audit's complete, off we go, everybody can buy nodes, people can buy master nodes, you can start, we're doing tilling and compute. When the whole system's running, yeah, they're going to sunset that. But very likely, you're going to have people that would arbitrage that. You can think of that as, in your mind, just another liquidity pool that people would arbitrage, right? If you saw, hey, I could take my X amount of Hypercycle tokens and I can park them over here and I can get paid 9%. Woo-woo. Or I can park them over here and I can get 39%. Oh, well, 39 is better, right? But the more people that do that, it will come down. So people will arbitrage that. And I believe also, I mean, it hasn't been said to me, but I would assume that people Singularity DAO would slowly reduce the rewards. But again, that is a pool of tokens that's used as rewards to incentivize the kind of behavior they're looking for. And that is to take your tokens off the market until the point where you're putting them into nodes. Now, the other side of it is beyond the just thinking of 39% on the unbonded pools, which is great. Or even if it was 20%, or even if it was 15%, those are all great. If you look anywhere else in the world, that no one's paying you that kind of return. But so you think, okay, the rest of there's a premium on volatility and risk. Great. But you think, okay, there is a value to having a node and increasing its, value as far as its reputation. So what tilling starts to achieve is a reputational score for that node. And for those of you that are kind of in the weeds a little bit, in Hypercycle terms, a node consists of a piece of hardware that's sufficient to run a node, which they'll be giving you all those details. It consists of a node license and 1,024 tokens. Those things together equal a node. That node is a little baby data center. And what that does is it facilitates two basic functions. One, it does what is called tilling, which is essentially letting the network know that node is alive and a participant in the Hypercycle ecosystem, that it's available, that it's got good uptime, that it is relevant. It's not, Byzantine. And it will eventually be doing compute, which is processing transactions, whether that's AI to AI computer transactions, or just other kinds of compute workload transactions for businesses in the free world. And so you will not only be raising the kind of relative score of your node, like if you owned a coffee shop and you had tons of business, everybody's like, "Ooh, that's the coffee shop I'm going to." They leave you a great Yelp review, and the value of that node gets higher and higher. But you're also earning income on the compute workloads that are being sent to your node or many nodes. So you have to kind of think, well, there may be a value much higher than a fixed yield that I'm getting by running a node that starts to be its score increases to the point where through a bunch of tilling and compute, the node splits. When the node splits, you now have 2 nodes. It splits again, you have 4, and you can go all the way to the point after 10 splits, you would have 1,024 individual nodes. Now you would probably need to increase your hardware so that you could be doing the compute side of the business, right? So in the coffee shop analogy, you had your coffee shop on the corner. It got so much business that you open up a second coffee shop on the other corner across the street just to handle that workload. Well, if everybody in town says this is the only place to get coffee, I ain't going nowhere else, then you may need to open a third coffee shop and a fourth coffee shop. Well, if you need 1,024 coffee shops, you'd have to have 1,024 locations, right? You think, or at least maybe you open up a coffee shop mall. I don't know, coffee mall. Is there even a coffee mall, Brandon? Do you guys have coffee malls?
No, we don't have a coffee mall.
Well, I don't even know if the world.
I don't even know if we have a coffee shop.
You probably don't. You probably just have a tin of coffee out in the middle of the weeds. But point is, as these nodes split, because they're doing well, because they're doing handling a lot of compute, they're handling a lot of these workloads, and they're making money, there's a point where you may have to increase your hardware to increase the compute side of that node. So while the tilling would be, your uptime is great and amazing, you just still need more hardware, like physical hardware. And that's where you're hearing all these articles where the big war, that's not a war, but the big fight right now is everybody's trying to buy compute. They want chips. They want chips, as many chips as possible. I want more chips. I want more H100s. I want A100s. I want anything they can. And so all of these companies that are now handling bigger and bigger workloads because they're doing a lot of machine learning and a lot of AI. AI is in every business now. There's an article we're going to talk about in a second where 40% of the entire workforce is going to have to be retrained. That's cute. Because AI is likely to take or augment their job. And I think it's a very rose-tinted view to think that you're just going to be retrained to work with AI. That sounds great. But the reality is AI is going to displace a lot of jobs. And in those messy in-between years, if you're participating in the compute side of that, well, then you don't really have to stress about it. I think that's one of the things that makes me so excited about Hypercycle is the idea that, I can kind of invest my way into running a bunch of baby data centers. That's the way I look at those nodes. How do you kind of look at it, Brandon?
They're basically a workhorse for me that generates passive income. I don't even care beyond that. That's simplified explanation, but that's what it is. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. Let me see. As a lifetime DHW, am I now considered a lifetime DI? Well, we don't have. Oh wait, you know what? I'm gonna just. We don't have a lifetime thing. We don't even have that. But you know what? Just for those of you that want to buy lifetime memberships, and by the way, I've always said don't ever buy anything lifetime membership. Did you know? I forget where it is. There's a place. Is it Singapore where you don't own the property for after 70 years? You own the rights to it, but you don't even own. Like you can own the bill. Yeah,
you're basically you buy the rental. Lease
a purchase is only a 70-year purchase. You own the building, but not the land.
Who does that return to? The government?
Well, the government, you have to go renegotiate with them. Anyway, this is not Money Morning Live. They are doing their own thing, which is fine. Now, we're all still friends. It's not like this is not a contentious breakup and like, I hate you. I want my clothes back. This is not that. They're just going in a different direction, and as are we. So in that, this is not that. Now, our lifetime membership is 1 million.
Well, here, let me explain this.
It's $1 million.
Nick, I get like probably 30 to 40 questions about this. Are we rolling digital heavyweights into digital investor? No. The service is being changed to digital investor. We have no tie basically with digital heavyweights. If we're going to do digital investor going forward, this is something that you have to sign up for. Somebody else commented, I keep going to the website and it's asking me to sign up. That's correct, because we have no relation with digital heavyweights. If you're a lifetime member at digital heavyweights, that's
just a separate thing. We are not that.
I don't know what to say, but I do know what to say, but I'm not going to say it here. But
so anyway, that's just a separate thing. And but also, I'm not gonna say that there's not value over there. I mean, I like Tom a lot, and what he's doing. There's some cool stuff that they're doing over there. So don't just think, oh, we're screwed and all this. It's just that what was now on the other side, on the cerebral side of it, what we were doing in digital heavyweights, we are doing in digital investor. And so
how could you say this more clearly?
Come September 1st, you'll notice the show is very similar. But we can't do a lot of the things in a public facing show, like the portfolio recommendations and things like that. You have to be behind a paywall. You have to be behind an indemnity wall. Those are all things that you do when you sign up for digital investor.
Here you go. Hold on really quickly. Where do you sign up for digital investor? This is just go to either nickblacknext.com, digitalprivate.com. It's right here on Nick's screen. See that name and email?
I've got a British voice for that.
Oh, you just go name, email, join the show, and then it goes through the walkout process. There's a monthly membership, which is super easy, or an annual membership, which you can pay in either crypto or credit card.
I got a British voice. I got a British voice.
Push
You're
it.
serious about cryptocurrency, digital assets,
it's so
artificial intelligence, game theory, the complex and often confusing world of macroeconomics and finance. You must learn to manage your assets like an experienced hedge fund manager. Join us at nickblacknext.com and be a part of Digital Investor. 3 live streams each week full of experienced and specific portfolio management education. Join us at www.nickblacknext.com.
It's so good. Oh gosh, I love the British.
Wait a second. We got to put this on screen. This is important. This is so important. This is true. Not only do you have me, but if we could go, we've shown a couple of videos behind, but we have this dashboard set up that is actually really cool, Nick. We have tools that we didn't have over at Digital Heavyweights. We have little widgets that you can use, pricing. We have all the replays, all the tech tips, all of your special sessions, all of our live streams. Everything's in this dashboard all in one place. It's like an upgraded Nick is what it is. Upgraded Nick.
Is that even possible?
Oh yeah, it is, because I'm there with
Dang
you.
it. Okay. Let's do this. So we've waxed philosophic. Essentially it'll be same bat time, same bat channel, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Nothing changes here. We're going to still public facing everything. Nothing changes until September 1st. Come September 1st, all of this is going to be behind the wall. There will be a gatekeeper and you will have to pass through the gate. Okay. There, that's all we're going to say about that. Let's get into the AI news, of which there is some cool AI news. There's a lot of employee swapping going on right now, a lot of hopping around between companies. So I think we should probably look at what's going on in AI world. We'll knock that out. And guess what? We have answers for you. Why did Bitcoin crash? Why does Algorand suck? Well, we don't know why Algorand, I guess we do kind of. But anyway, we're going to talk Algorand sucking, the war against CBDCs, lots of C's and B's and D's. Congress kind of fighting against the 1984ism of CBDCs. And we will tell you, at least we will cover the FUD of the 4 main reasons why Bitcoin est the bed so bad yesterday, which again, for all of us, let me know in the comments. Are you sad or happy that everything is red? I am happy because I still have money I'm investing. If today was the day you were going to exit, you're probably sad, but for the most part, most of you should be pretty happy. Anyway, let's go check out the AI news, I think. Okay, in AI news, of which there is a lot, but I'm going to stream it down. And what I've decided to do is I don't want to take up too much time moving forward on the AI news unless I think that it kind of pivots towards the way we invest. But a lot of it does. So anyway, ex-Google duo launches a new AI startup in Tokyo. Essentially, two former Google AI researchers have started Sakana AI, and it is a Tokyo startup taking a swarm approach, combining multiple smaller AI models. Swarm AI is something that we talked about quite a bit. And originally I thought, like when you see a crowd of people leaving like a sports venue or something like that, and it takes this weird kind of gooey shape. Ben Gortzel had a really great kind of discussion about this. Well, that gooey emergent shape is its own kind of creature. And it's unique, and it may follow patterns as people make their way to the parking lot. But from a distance, you just see this weird gooey shape, right? I mean, if you studied it, it's a bunch of little individuals. Well, that swarm has a lot of power. And so if you imagine all of those as AI agents, all those little people as AI agents, while the agents themselves might not be super smart, the swarm may be quite capable of producing something that looks like general intelligence. So anyway, this particular startup will explore combining specialized smaller models like swarms in nature to match giant models' capabilities in the AI space. The approach aims to reduce the amount of data and costs, because data is becoming very scarce, and costs, read into that, chips and paying for workload, versus scaling up single huge models, which is kind of the ChatGPT approach. One of the co-founders, Leon Jones, helped pioneer the transformer architecture, which was the basis for ChatGPT. Kind of cool. Okay, keep that in mind. An AI-based social media app has emerged. And I mean, we knew this was coming. Did you hear about the Snapchat, the weird emergent thing that happened where the Snapchat AI that they were about to turn on, it just showed a picture of like a wall and like in like a basement.
What?
For like 15 seconds. People freaked out. They were like, shit,
what?
Is that my house? It was just a wall. And they were like, haha, just kidding. No, that's some Blair Witch stuff right there.
That
anyway,
is crazy. Only because you can interpret it so many different ways when they show
yeah,
a wall.
People were like, wait, is that my house? Like, what's going on? Like,
is that where you're gonna put me? Is that where I'm gonna get taken
no,
to?
it's just the douchebags in the corporate level of Snapchat, again, not knowing what they're doing with the just the place where you put D pics. Anyway, all right. Let's talk about this social media app, which is kind of weird. So the X Machine Zone CEO has founded a new social media app called Be Fake to refine social media. The app lets users snap fantasy versions of themselves using AI generated images. Usually when you do this, it's just China collecting data, but apparently in this, it's probably also China collecting data. Anyway, it allows users to express creativity beyond selfies. This is beyond selfies, Brandon. A selfie's not enough.
I want a disclaimer on every picture going forward. I'm gonna start needing disclaimers. Sometimes I can't even tell the difference though. You know?
Essentially what it allows you to do is you can take a selfie and change parts of it into weird faux identity kind of. Anyway, I think it's pretty stupid, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what people think. And if people don't think it's stupid, maybe there's some money to be made. I think it's stupid. Anyway, the founder of Be Fake, while this seems stupid to me, they've made a bunch of really high grossing mobile games. So I'm not just going to assume that because I think something's dumb that other people won't like it. I'm not a curmudgeon when it comes to that stuff. If a bunch of people like something and there's money to be made, hey, I'm all for it. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, Be Fake is the app. You can take a selfie and be very, very fake. Okay. If you want to leverage a powerful Chat GPT alternative, like say Claude 2. Brandon, have you tried Claude?
Cloud. It's
Cloud. Have you tried Claude?
Cloud actually helps me with all my workouts now.
Do you believe in Claude?
Cloud is the best.
Do you believe in Claude? Anyway, hey, are we going to try to do an integration with Claude into the...
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's definitely on my to-do list behind 14 other things. Okay. I got yelled at yesterday by somebody saying that I need an assistant.
Was it yelling? Okay. Anyway, Cloud is a free rival that packs some serious compute punch. If you want to summarize long articles, Cloud 2 can accept prompts with up to 100,000 tokens. So that's roughly 100,000 words. So we'll get into tokens and parameters later, but essentially, and we've kind of covered this, parameters is kind of the dexterity of a search, tokens are the actual kind of data points, words, basically. It's about 5 characters. Anyway, 100,000 is an S load compared to ChatGPT's 8,000. So by some simple math, you might say, wait,
you can do math on that. Yeah, I was going to go through
Cloud takes 12 times the amount of content into their context window. 100,000, if you think about 100,000 words, we're getting into the range of like small novels. So anyway, okay, so you can prompt, basically take the whole article and paste it. And then you say, give me the key bullet points from this abstract. And you can go in and like, you can have it summarize. What I always do is I'll have it summarize stuff. And then I'll say, summarize it and feed it back to me in the way that I could teach an 8th grade class this content. And I get very simple, and I'm just like, crap, am I an 8th grader? Am I like perpetually an 8th grader? Well, I think that 8th graders learn well, and maybe adults don't. So yeah, that's what I do. Anyway, the other thing that you can do, you can compare and contrast different documents. So you can upload multiple files at one time and then compare and contrast them. So what do you get? You upload the multiple files. And again, this is on Claude 2. Then you tell it to summarize the key information from both of these files and then tell me the difference between both abstracts. And it will compare and contrast. It's pretty badass. Okay. Brandon, you've used Claude.
Cloud.
Cloud's
my everyday assistant right now.
Cloud's badass.
Cloud, yes.
Do you like it better or equal to, or how do you compare it to GPT-4?
I still use kind of both. So different times. I don't know why. Should I just use one or the other?
No, use them both. Yeah.
Okay. So I still use them both. I was just gonna say, because I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to get 2 different ideas. So
yeah, I like the Cloud.
Multiple tools.
Runway debuts Watch, which is an AI video sharing kind of thing. Runway launched a new feature called Watch on Thursday, a way to share and view longer AI-generated videos. It comes as Runway seeks to build a stronger community around AI filmmaking. And then you think, wait, all these people striking like, not my job, you're not going to replace me. Like, bro, code is already replacing you. Tencent is charging into AI's AI race. They're like, we're here, man. Chinese tech giant Tencent is charging into the AI battlefield, reportedly cooking up its own foundation model called Hunyuan, releasing later this year as part of Beijing's push to beat the U.S. Beat them to what? I mean, anyway, Tencent is pouring gas on the fire alongside Alibaba, who recently launched 2 open source models of their own. That is cool. And Montana, which, you know, people don't think AI and Montana typically together. However, Montana,
yeah, right. That's as bad as the AI in Idaho. Give me a break. We have AI.
Montana Digital Academy becomes one of the first to bring AI into high schools with a new online course designed to help embrace the future. The curriculum covers AI history, ethics, career, AI history. Back in 2022, in the beginning. Well, anyway, it goes back a little further. It talks about career options, ethical considerations. Anyway, school leaders are emphasizing the importance of teaching students how to use AI responsibly. Ooh. All right. Just real quick, Meta has kind of launched a new AI attack against OpenAI. Not really an attack, but they're releasing free code generating software. So, and when you see these big companies compete, the valve is the price, right? That's the release valve. So everybody's going head to head. Oh, we're better, we're better, we're better. Whoever says we're free, well, for most people, they're better. Because people are like,
our wallet dictates everything.
Yeah. So Meta's platform is set to launch an open source code generating AI software, Code Llama, aimed at helping developers automatically generate and program code. That's pretty badass. All right. That's all we got on the AI. I mean, as far as the super cool AI news, that's pretty much all I got.
Hey, Beth, just really quick question. Beth here wants to do a video on how to use cloud and ChatGPT. Okay. So there's a lot that goes into these AI engines. And the one thing that people are going to be learning or need to learn are the prompts. The prompts are the input that you put into either the ChatGPT or cloud to be able to get the correct response out of those things. So learning prompts is a big, big thing right now. So we probably will have to do some walkthroughs, Nick, on how to use prompts correctly and how to get the right response. It's like asking your kids correctly. Like I can ask my kid 10 different times what he did for the day, and until I ask him correctly, I won't get the right response, you know? And so ChatGPT is like a kid. It gives you all the right answers, but not the correct answer sometimes. So,
and then I would say that we want to make sure that our tech videos are more tech and less opinion, and they're also tech on the border of investment, because one of the things that we saw that was missing is there's a lot of thought leaders, gurus, and all that other bullcrap where people will tell you, hey, this is how you should invest. This is what you should buy. But no one tells you exactly how to do that. So you're like, okay, cool, I got to do this. They're like, cool, set up a wallet, do that. You're like, what the smoke? So we want to make sure that the things we're doing are helping to enable people to express their investment ideas in real time, so that we don't want the gap to be some technical thing, some button pushing, step by step, not to demean what we're doing with these videos, but like at some point the rubber has to meet the road, and it can't just be all theory. At some point, people need to actually be able to do this stuff, buy the assets, put them in wallets, protect the assets, monetize the assets. So it's those little steps. We want to make sure that we have all that stuff out there.
Oh, it's not demeaning at all. This is like something that I have had multiple responses for on. I was stuck here. Now we got this video from you guys, and now we can do this. Like it's literally bridging like these technical aha moments that people thought were too complex or too like beyond their ability. When once we simplify it down, break it down, you can do it, and that's why we're here. This is it.
Brenda, as a general rule, whenever you guys are interacting, and this is all going to get a lot easier, by the way, and most of this prompt engineering is just the early stages of interfacing with AI. This stuff will all go away because it'll be a lot more intuitive pretty soon. But when you're thinking about prompt engineering, I mean, reduce it in your mind to engineering a question so that you get exactly the response that you want. Does that make sense? So if I'm looking at a novel, for example, I have a 100,000 word novel, and I'd love to communicate with that novel and dig into that novel, maybe in ways that just reading the novel, simply reading the words, don't express. I want to converse with that novel. I might say, and you do it just the way you speak. I'm going to upload this novel. I want to communicate with this novel as if the narrator is a friend of mine, and I'm going to ask questions of the novel. Does that make sense? Yes. Boom. Download the novel. Add it to the context window, like in Claude, 100,000 words. There's boom. You can put a whole novel in there. Now I can communicate back and forth with that novel. I could also say, communicate with me as if you are Jack in the novel. Do you understand? Yes, because you can always ask these large language models, do you understand? And it will communicate if it doesn't quite understand what you're asking. But the idea of prompt engineering is you're making your questions precise so that what you're trying to get out of the conversation is also as precise. And most of you you're already prompt engineers. Like whenever you're asking people questions, you're not just asking them random questions. You're asking them questions because you want to winnow down the responses to something that you can utilize in your life. So anyway, it's just thinking, again, like we used to say, you need to think about the act of thinking. You need to think about the act of asking questions. That's what prompt engineering is. And it's just doing it in a very human, common conversational way with these large language models until they get better at reading into the way that you like to communicate and the way that you like to kind of winnow down and distill your information. We're in the early days. This is the early days of human, like face-to-face interaction with transformer networks, large language models, things like this. But it's all going to get a lot easier. You're seeing every day that you're playing with these things, you're still seeing the dumbest version of them. This is the dumbest, slowest, clunkiest version of all this tech. Just think about the iPhones from like 10 years ago, which are just paperweight bull, just bull crap.
They blew our minds though, kind of, because we came from flip phones. So even the first iPhone is like, holy crap, this is like groundbreaking. But now we look at that and nobody will even buy it. Like an iPhone. Well, they'll buy it because it's like worth a lot of money. The iPhone 1, if it's in perfect shape and still in the box and stuff. But besides that, nobody's buying an iPhone 1.
Yes. Let's see. We will always, look, you guys are always, you don't have to join Digital Investor to get the tech tips and all that kind of stuff. That's free forever. That's just what we do. The tech tips, the little videos and stuff we do during the week, that is all for you guys for free for whatever, because that stuff just needs to be out there for the crypto space. Digital Investor, the project that is focused on actually investing, building portfolios, being a competent fiduciary, digging into game theory and cognitive bias, that is Digital Investor. That starts September 1st. Okay.
Yeah, we're doing some portfolio month September. This is going to be awesome.
Woo-woo. Okay. And yeah, the tech tips are awesome. Listen, if all you get is the tech tips and you don't get anything else, you're still winning. And they're free. 1, 2 free. Okay. Let's talk some of this news is pretty crazy.
Dude, this was a big day yesterday.
This is a big day. I think the first thing that we want to cover is a lot of people are like, what the smoke happened with Bitcoin? It doesn't make any damn sense. Okay, so let's go through some of the things. All right, the FUD. I'm sure that you guys heard of the SpaceX issue, right? And so
they sold everything.
Well, that's
I know.
Maybe.
No, I heard it wasn't. I heard both ways.
So rather than pick a side, we're just going to tell you what the 4 big FUDs were. The four big news points.
No, and we'll tell you why it all happened too.
Yeah. So as you guys know, Bitcoin got kicked in the nuts yesterday, which started a bunch of cascading liquidations because everybody's been talking at Bitcoin lately. It was like, oh my God, here it comes, here's the big move. And people were like idiots taking on leverage, which you don't do. Anyway, on August 18th, which is today, the price of Bitcoin dumped. Now, this is why it says August 18th, because this kind of August 18th happened yesterday for lots of people. Anyway, in a matter of minutes, the price dumped 8%. And everybody's like, what's going on? It's over, which creates liquidations, which creates margin calls. And for those crappy platforms that offer a lot of leverage, those dudes get unwound. And you have these levels of cascading liquidations that melt a lot of people, a lot of overly optimistic, stupid, gambly dummies. Anyway, they got melted. Bitcoin used to crash like every 4 days and then go up every 5 days. Like 2017, it was like a meth addict's EKG, right? So we've just only recently, like the last month and a half, 2 months, had this weird $29,000 Bitcoin line in the sand is very unnatural. Anyway, not unlike, somebody on life support. You're like, oh, that's it. She's dead. So this is not, So this was weird now, but it's not weird in the past. This is actually weird that we were in this situation where it was so flat. So here's one of the pieces of news that panics some people, and that's that SpaceX reportedly sells off its Bitcoin holdings. Well, they didn't sell off their holdings yesterday. They sold them off months ago. They were offloading on their balance sheet. Why? Because Tesla was getting its ass kicked last year. They were not performing very well, and they needed some cash. They bought it as an investment. They sold it. SpaceX, Elon Musk's aerospace company, reportedly sold off nearly all of its Bitcoin holdings. Again, not yesterday, many months ago. In addition to Tesla, SpaceX was one of the few companies that had bought Bitcoin like jackasses during the bull run in 2021. Because when you look back, all these people just behave on FOMO. Elon is not a god. He is a dude, and dudes FOMO. Anyway, according to reports, at one time, SpaceX held $373 million worth of Bitcoin on its balance sheet in 2021 and 2022, but has now sold the cryptocurrency. I mean, so what? It's funny that, a lot of the comments were like, why is everybody reacting now? This is the same thing as the Fed minutes. People react to the Fed. They used to. They don't anymore, but people used to react to the Fed decision. And then 2 days later, they would react to the press conference. Same news. Then 3 weeks later, they would react again to the minutes from the press conference and the original decision of 3 weeks ago. The same news. Reaction. Same news. It's like, Brandon, have you ever had a girlfriend?
What are you talking about?
And let's say you have a breakup. We're breaking up. You're like, okay, man.
I never broke up with a girl.
And then 3 days later, she calls you and you break up again.
Oh, and it's all, yeah, okay.
Again.
Okay. Fresh news.
You're like, Brandon, we're breaking up. You're like, okay, we broke up, but we're breaking up again. Okay, got it. It's Wednesday. We're breaking up. And then 3 weeks later, Brandon. Yeah. Hold on. Here, Brandon. You got to pick up the phone because I'm calling you to break up.
Wait, what? We already did that.
No, you don't have your phone.
I got it. It's right here. Oh my gosh. This
Brandon,
is an important call. I can tell already. Hey, what's up?
We're breaking up.
Hey. Okay. Wait, we already did that.
Well,
Twice.
I'm telling you again, we're breaking up.
No, and your voice is cracking up a little bit different.
We're breaking
this is
up.
News now. We already did that twice.
Well, this is number 3. This time it's real.
What? This is real?
Now
I'm gonna react.
Now you have the SpaceX story.
React.
That's
now
the SpaceX story.
Bam.
So anyway, and it had been speculated that they dumped this a while ago, and it's funny because people were like, "No, that's bullcrap," but it was not bullcrap. Anyway, so there was that. Okay, so you got the SpaceX news, which was not really news, but it was like, oh my God, if a year ago SpaceX didn't like Bitcoin, what does that mean now? It means nothing because SpaceX is a business that's going to do what's best for SpaceX. If they needed the money for their balance sheet, if they need to turn that to cash to win over a quarter, which they did, by the way, before, so what? Like, good for them. That's the whole point of an investment. You're not supposed to hold on to this stuff forever and die with it. Okay. Rate hike fears. Ooh, this is a good one. This is one that like 6 people in the Bitcoin space actually care about. I don't.
This is such a non-issue. This is such a joke. These rate hikes. No, this is a non-issue.
But we got to cover it. We got to cover it.
No,
So
at least the SpaceX thing like regurgitated some old news that was actually substantial to Bitcoin, regardless of the timing and regardless of it's old news or whatever, or regardless if it's even fake or not. I heard it was even like halfway fake. Like they didn't even sell all of it off their balance sheet.
They sold most of it.
At least that was something.
Yeah.
Palpable. This is a joke.
So the U.S. is one of the biggest markets for Bitcoin, and recent revelations from the minutes of the Federal Reserve's July meeting, again, reacting to the whatever, hint at the possibility. So if you hint at a possibility, is that like, hey, Brandon, there might be a possibility of something. Like, what does that even mean? A hint of a possibility? Anyway, the hint of a possibility, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, of another increase in interest rates. They already said they're going to do it. The Fed's going to do what they're going to do because they don't know what to do. They have no clue what's going on, and their interest rate hikes make no difference. The only thing they're doing, if you really look at it, is putting pressure on smaller banks that they want to collapse anyway. The Federal Reserve, the Board of Governors, all these guys, forget about all that. You have big banks that don't like competition from small banks. The U.S. has a lot of banks, many thousands of banks. They want those banks to fail. They want those banks to be put into situations where they have to be consumed by other banks. It is a bottoms-up collapse. We've talked about this for years, man. And it's common sense. If you're Walmart, you don't like competition. You'd just rather those companies die so that you get that business. It's the same thing in banking. Banking is for profit, right? So the Fed would love it if all these banks collapsed up into broker-dealers and there was 25 banks left in the U.S. They would love it. I mean, until they wanted to go after those banks too. But for now, they would love it if we reduced the U.S. from having 5,000 banks to like 50, right? So like kind of obvious. So the whole idea that higher interest rates lead to increased borrowing costs and higher returns on safe investments like bonds and all this kind of stuff may discourage trading in risky leverage positions within the crypto space. Well, what 6 people does this affect? Like, could I have a hard time believing that the hint of a possibility of a Fed rate hike steers anybody's decision making in the crypto space, especially in the leverage space. And if you are getting your marching orders from the Fed and you're in the crypto space, you're a goddamn fool.
This is unreportable news, Nick. Let's go to the next one. This is crazy.
Okay.
This is dumb.
This is
what else we got?
This was the main. Okay, now there was a little bit of panic because of the bankruptcy, the Chinese property giant bankruptcy. Evergrande. That did create some overall market panic. But you know what? Again, we've been talking about there's going to be, and this is not, when I say we, I don't just mean like Brandon and I mean like the markets this is largely priced that Evergrande was going to have trouble. And it's also largely priced that the commercial real estate sector is going to get absolutely obliterated. And there's going to be a lot of people just walking away from debt and walking away from these things. And the banks are going to end up absorbing a lot of losses. That's going to collapse some banks, part of the bottoms up collapse. Commercial real estate is in for a come to Jesus. Anyway, so that's part of it. China's second largest property developer recently filed for U.S. bankruptcy. And this had a domino effect a little bit. I think that's probably the main thing. I think that created some panic. That panic created futures liquidations where you saw, if you look at CoinGlass, it shows that futures market had seen a flurry of liquidations just in the past 24 hours, many of them right on the heels of the news about the Chinese bankruptcy of Evergrande. And the largest liquidation, futures liquidation this year, it was right just shy of 500 million. And again, that's not a lot, but it is in an anemic market. So data suggests that most of the liquidated positions were longs, meaning those people that were overly optimistic and stupid. In my opinion, stupid. I don't think you want to leverage any of these things. I don't think anybody should be trading on leverage. We're going to talk a lot more about the improper use of leverage in digital investor, especially when we get started in September. That's kind of my main thing is I know a lot of people, man. Brandon, did you know anybody that got nuked because of having too much leverage, like in 2021, like started borrowing against their crypto to buy more crypto?
Yeah, what? No, but nobody. Actually, no, that's not true. I think I do know somebody personally that was doing that, and it's not over leverage. It was credit card debt, and so there was high levels of stress involved in that because it was one of those things where you get caught up in the moment. You're like, well, I have $5,000 in credit card. I'm going to throw it in here, and then it's complaining every day, crying every day. Oh crap! I overinvested in crypto assets, and it's like
I know, dude. I know people that lost millions.
Dude, that's crazy.
And I tried to tell him, I was like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop borrowing against your Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin. It's going to 100,000. Yeah, it may, but it's not a straight line, man. Like And look, if you're getting the returns in crypto that you're getting, if you're getting the 2s, the 5s, the 10x's, the 100x's, then do you need to leverage all of your stuff to get an extra 20%,
No,
50?
it's not worth it. The thing is, if you're getting a 10x, guess what? The risk of the inverse is also there,
Oh,
always.
God.
So think of a negative 10x on leveraged debt that you have to 2x and 3x the debt. Like, you're going to get liquidated so quickly, it's not even funny. And you don't have the backup capital that Michael Saylor does or anything like that to be able to keep buying more as it goes down. He had unlimited DCA supply. So anyway, I called you a second ago to tell you that
until he goes to jail.
SpaceX. That was me calling you. SpaceX. I don't know if you knew this, but they sell their stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we can put a board out.
Let's switch gears. 40% of workers are going to need new job training due to AI. This, I don't know why this is. How is this shocking to anyone? Anyway, the reskilling needs are varied, says researchers, but executives think employee roles will be augmented rather than replaced. No, I don't believe that for a second. I think that's what they're telling people because that's what you're supposed to tell people, because HR is like, don't tell people they're getting fired. Just tell them that we're going to augment their workload. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's better than you're laid off. Although if you look at the numbers, laid off is what's happening. Anyway, employees may now need to finally brush up now on their AI prompting per new research. Listen, everybody should start playing around with AI tools, because if you don't, let's face it, you're going to be the old dude on the shelf.
The AI tool, they should be like your normal work. No matter what you do right now, they should be part of your normal workflow. Like AI, Nick's never used it yet, but like I use it like 4 to 5 times a day, at least through my normal workflow of other things that I do. Different AI tools too.
They believe so. IBM believes, and this is a research report that they did, of course, biased by AI, but I mean by IBM's version of what AI looks like. But that's fair. Roughly 1.4 billion people will be affected. Anybody with a phone, or internet or computers that will be affected. Anyone. But anyway. 40% of workers will need new job skills over the next 3 years. That's not very long. 36 months. The IBM report draws on 2 prior studies, one that looked at a survey of 3,000 C-level executives across 28 countries. The other assessed 21,000 workers in 22 nations. So it is a wide, I wish their sample size was bigger, but it is a wide swath of queries. Many of the respondents said that they think AI will displace humans outright. I'm in that camp. What do you guys think? Is AI going to push people to the side or augment them, or both? What say you in the chat? Anyway, employees may think that by partnering with AI, they are training their replacement. Therefore, they might push back. I think that's a way to get pushed out of your job. Conversely, 87% of executives believe job roles are more likely to be increased. Generative AI will augment far more employees than it will replace. I don't believe that for a second. Okay, so that's fine. We don't need to go too deep into that. But basically, they're saying 40% of the workforce is either going to eat the boot, catch the boot, or use AI to understand what the boot is that's kicking them out of their job. So there we go. Okay. This is one of the funnier stories. I don't know if it's funny. It made me giggle when I was reading it. When you first look at the headline, U.S. Congressman issues warning on CBDCs, you're like, oh God, here we go again. But you think, wait a minute. They're not saying F you to crypto. They're saying they don't like central bank digital currencies. And when you dig in, it makes a lot of sense what they're saying. They very rarely make sense, but Warren Davidson, U.S. Congressman, warns that central bank digital currencies would probably result in a dystopian future. Well, yes. The Ohio Republican tells his 78,000, almost 79,000 followers that he believes CBDCs could transform money into a powerful means of government control, and plans to introduce legislation to criminalize the development of these types of digital assets. Now, let's think about this for a second. They criminalize the development of CBDCs, And then the Fed goes to work on a CBDC, which they won't, by the way, because the Fed realizes that it has to come from the Treasury. Okay, Janet Yellen goes to work on a central bank digital currency. Does Janet Yellen end up on Ohio's most wanted list? Maybe. To make the point crystal clear, he continued, I'm working on legislation to criminalize designing, building, testing, developing, and establishing central bank digital currencies. You're like, that's kind of interesting. Now, he goes kind of off on a tangent and says that sound money, like the US dollar, push that off to the side for a second, should be a stable store of value and efficient means of an exchange. Store of value? No, that's not what currency is. Currency is a medium of exchange. Store of value is a different thing altogether. But, I mean, I kind of like where his head's at. Anyway, what do you think, Brandon? You think we should go after Janet Yellen? How dare she? How dare they? Like, well, yeah, the idea of the Orwellian assault on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, obviously that's not the answer. It's not going to solve anything.
CBDCs are coming. This is another thing. This will happen, and in the future, money is already digital, so it just makes sense that you would be the most easy, frictionless form of digital, and that is central bank digital currencies. There will be a digital dollar. And no, we're not going to go jailing everybody that works on it because that's stupid. But you gotta like the sentiment there. You gotta like where his head's at. I mean, even if it's nonsensical,
even if it's in space, but that's okay. I like the effort.
And then finally, and this is kind of the last little bit, and then we're going to get into markets. Algorand hits a new all-time low amid the market downturn. Well, I mean, I'll sum up the argument really easily. They talk about that it's the regulators have it in the crosshairs. People are bailing on it due to price levels and Fibonacci retreat. That's all bullshit. So here's what it is. Algorand is a company that feels like they don't need to communicate with people. They are arrogant. They are self-important. There's a large amount of douchebaggery going on in there. There's a bunch of really smart people. And then there is a bunch of other people that are giving them really, really bad advice. Their marketing team is non-existent. They do not care what the public thinks, and yet they need the public support through supporting their token in order to fund operations. I don't know why this is so hard for them to get. I mean, Brandon, is it me? Am I missing it?
This is some basic business. Like, this is like, oh, I started up a slushy shack on the corner type business. You know, you can't just start up a slushy shack. Nobody shows up to your door, and then you start going door to door. Can we have money to start up our slushy shack and keep that thing going? You got to do the work to get people coming to your slushy shack, man.
Slushy shack.
So badly.
Can you can anybody here say slushy shack 5 times fast?
It's literally impossible. Slushy shack. I give up. I literally give up. Holy crap. No, you can't do that. That's Algorand in a nutshell. Basically, they launched a coin. They're just as bad now. I mean, I think they had a good premise. I think they had a good beginning and some good ideas. But they're almost as bad as these meme coins. That's exactly what they do.
It's become a meme.
They do this whole launch where they get like, these influencers to pump it. They do all this stuff. They spend the whole marketing wad at the beginning, and then they make all this residual money, but they keep it all. They never keep marketing. They don't remarket, and they don't grow. They don't change. They don't iterate on anything that they've done. And so that's what Algorand's kind of done as well. They followed the meme coin crowd.
Well, I think they followed the meme coin crowd because people have been telling them for years, like, you need to communicate with the public that supports you. If you're so arrogant and self-important that you don't think you need to communicate, then I'm not going to give you my money, bro. Go get it somewhere else. Oh, why don't you go get it from all these governments that you're doing deals with? Like, God, I mean, there was a whole, real quick. Let me just backpedal for 10 seconds. Davidson, when he was, Warren Davidson, when he was talking about the companies that are building CBDCs and that should be basically on the do not fly list, he said the U.S. government, the Treasury Department, Ripple. He basically accused Ripple of being part of this cabal of sketchy companies that are, I mean, whatever. This guy's he's on one. Anyway, okay. Algorand's going to continue to melt down because they don't feel like they need to communicate with people. If Silvio McCauley once a week got out there and talked to people, the whole thing would change for Algorand. It really would. But they know more than everybody else. They're so smart. They're just so smart. They know everything. What do us idiots know about money that they don't already know? That thing's going to be a nickel, dude. Now, at some point, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I'm not selling my Algorand. And if it got down to 5 cents, I'd start buying it again. But at this point, you have to be careful that it doesn't just collapse to dust. Because it could. Although I still think there's value there. So that's a tricky one. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's go ahead and hit the markets. We know we need to. And so, yeah. Okay, let me go bigger so people can see more of this cool screen. Okay, as we know, Bitcoin S the bed. Great. There's no magic there. You guys know that happened. Great. We talked about it. Bitcoin's just about to get in the 25s. I say get on down. Let's get the volatility back. What say you, Brandon? When would you start looking at building Bitcoin position?
Whoa, you know my opinion on Bitcoin. Hold on a second. So you're asking the wrong question. But if I were to buy Bitcoin instead of other assets that I think have more upside, I would wait till it's at 26. Oh, okay, good. That's really nice. I would wait till I haven't even looked at it today. I just watched Ethereum. I would wait till probably 24,000. 24,000. I like that price.
I think in the 25s, I would start slowly. Again, dollar cost average. Everything you do, don't react. You want to act, meaning you want to think about what you're doing. You want to make sure that Bitcoin belongs in your portfolio. But my idea is that BlackRock will get sometime in early spring of 2024. They will bully through, or the SEC will step aside and allow a spot settled Bitcoin ETF. I think that does happen in 2024. I think the halving talk starts happening. And I think that you probably start mid to low 25s, maybe. Again, this is not advice. This is just what I'll probably do is I'll probably start adding mid to low 25s. And then I'll just be very careful as I do it. All right. Everything else is kind of, finally, we're seeing some moves. XRP is getting its face melted.
Dude,
Cardano's
I had so
doing
many
pretty
people
good.
call me to get XRP right when I want. I'm like, no, dude. These people have been waiting so long. They're going to dump. They bought day one, 85 cents. I'm like, dude.
Oh, what do you mean? When the court case news?
Yeah, when the court case news, they bought 85 cents. And I'm like, dude, guys, I promise you, no, not going to happen. And guess what?
Man, you can only tell people so many times to watch out for FOMO. Anyway, Cardano's held up really well, actually. It's only down 2. So I always look at
Cardano's
Bitcoin.
beaten up, though. Cardano is beaten up, man.
Yeah. You know what? You know where it's not beaten up? It's not beaten up because I got it at 2.7 cents. And I don't say that to be a dick. I say that because if you're buying infrastructure and you're dollar cost averaging and you're taking some of these staking or yield bearing rewards and things like that, you can have very, very low entry prices on a lot of these assets. Even now, I don't think 26 cents is a bad price. I think it's a good price. Matic didn't really get punished the way I thought it would. I thought it would take a bigger hit. It didn't. That's good. Cosmos has been beat up pretty good, but if you look at the 30-day, everything's down around 20%-ish. Optimism is actually faring really well, which probably speaks a little bit to what they're doing with Base at Coinbase. So we'll see. That's another reason why I think Near is done, because
Which
Coinbase
sucks because a couple days ago when we talked, if Optimism would have taken a dip like everything else, that would have been my #1 buy.
Yeah.
Over the last 2 days. It's shocking how it's held up, actually. I'm shocked.
Graph token, which to me is not an investment, but it's definitely a trade. And I think it's more of a trade at 9 cents than it was at 10 cents. I was kind of hoping this would take a bigger beating, but the further you get, the more illiquid you get with these assets. So yeah, slight recovery on Algorand, but not much. It's down 72% on the year. Under 10 cents, if you don't have a position in it, it is a quality layer one as far as the tech. The team, if you forget the marketing side, the team is quality. Again, the problem is the public veneer, but the actual tech, I mean, Silvio, the chief scientist there, he's the reason there's a Bitcoin. Like 85% of the Bitcoin white paper is just directly on work he did. So there is no Bitcoin without Silvio. Keep that in mind. So this isn't something, yes, we're frustrated with their behavior, but this isn't something that you flush down the toilet. Price-wise, punished. Is there opportunity there? Yes. Is it ever a $3 asset again? I don't know. I don't think so, but we'll see. But there's definitely a trade there. There's a trade on all this stuff at these very, very, very low prices, is my thought. But don't lay into any of these things. Dollar cost average. All right. AGIX, it's below 20 cents. So it's in my buying range again. It's down 8 on the day. That's right around what Bitcoin's down. So it's exciting to me.
How is Fetch up? What is happening?
Hey, man.
I'm looking at this stuff, and it makes no sense to me.
Illiquid assets on illiquid exchanges traded by sketchy individuals.
True that.
Yep. And then we go Rejuve. Well, Rejuve is having an update, but really it had a weird sell-off day yesterday, and then it bounced back up. I think a lot of that was just token unlocks. As people at launchpads and things like that receive tokens, some of them sold. Remember, a Rejuve token came out at 1.5 cents. So there were still people that were, 30% in the profit, 40% in the profit. I think that was a little bit of the sell-off, but anyway, it's back. Cool. Everything else quiet. Cogito is still a fail.
Should we bleed?
We should just
you'll notice the couple of things we should have a bumper for that. You'll notice a couple of things. So some of these coins, Sophia, Hypercycle holding up extremely well. A lot of these are unfazed by when like Bitcoin dumps and stuff. They might not follow exactly what happens there. And so I really like those projects because they kind of stand on their own leg in that these Singularity DAO assets and a couple of these assets, they are real projects. They're no joke. They've done more than some of these bid projects have done over the last 12 years or 10 years or whatever. But you know what I mean? 10 years. So really good. And then hold on here. Present this here. This is important, Nick. I know we're running long, but this is important because, oh my gosh, so many people are talking about this yesterday. During the flash crash last night, a lot's not going through. I keep getting failed transactions. Watch gas. Guys, go to Ethereum. Go either Google it, gas fee tracker. You guys go check this out when you're doing Ethereum transactions. So a lot of people are trying to swap into HIX, Hypercycle, other things. When everything was happening, and you're going to get failed transactions because yesterday gas spiked. You see where it says 37 Gwei there? Gas spiked to 500. And your transaction is not going to go through when it's 500 Gwei, and you initiated a transaction when it was 100 Gwei. It has to drop down below 100 Gwei before your transaction will go through because it's going to go at the point where you initiated the transaction. So if gas is spiking, it's going to time out and you're going to have failed transaction after failed transaction, nor will you have the gas money to pay for those transactions because you submitted at too low a price or too low of speed. No miner is going to pick that up because people are going to be selling in and out of Ethereum like crazy when it's flash crashing like that. So keep that in mind when you're trying to do your transactions and stuff.
Okay. On my request here, I see that everybody's giving us, but I want you to wait a second. Okay. When we end the show, I want everyone to take a minute, take 2 or 3 minutes, and I want you to think, in this imaginary world, this is the last $10,000 you will ever get in your entire life. Like we've entered the world of UBI, where you get exactly enough money to cover all your expenses and not $1 more, not one digital dollar more. You have $10,000. This is the last $10,000 you will ever have. So I want you to think about that for a second. And after the video is over, I want you to come back and leave it in the comments. The reason is the comments that we have during the show, no one sees that after the show. I want people to see in the comment section after the show is finished, when they go to the video, I want people to be able to see in the comments what you guys think. So this is the thought experiment. It's your last $10,000 ever. Your last 10K ever. What are the 3 assets that you would buy? And if you want, you can include the percentages. And it's just a thought experiment. It doesn't matter. But I want you to think about that for a second. All right. On that note, we will see you soon. Digital private clients, we will see you tomorrow. For the rest of you, we'll see you Monday. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything that my poor, insolvent, drunk, strung out on meth grandmother would not do, which you know is very little. And we bid you adieu.
If you're an accredited investor and you want in on angel, seed round or early round equity and token opportunities in the artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency space, schedule an interview at nickblacknext.com. In life, you can either be really good, really lucky, or just be first. Being first is so much easier. Schedule a digital private client interview today at nickblacknext.com.